The experts say that, for the most part, we only use 1/3 of our listening capacity. I believe that one way to increase this listening capacity is to engage learners in fun communication exercises. Today I will share with you some of the exercises which other teachers have shared with me and which I have been using successfully with students of all ages in my classes for the past 27 years. It drives me crazy not to know the names of my students, so I like to begin my classes with something called the name game. Now, there are lots of variations of this simple memory game. Here's the one that I like to do. We make a circle. Students need to sit in a circle for this game. I begin by saying that this is a memory game. I remind everyone that we are friendly people and that this is not a cutthroat game. If someone can't remember your name, please help them out. There is no writing and no crosstalk during the game. We need to concentrate. I begin by saying my name and one word which hopefully describes how I feel and has the same sound as the beginning of my name. For instance, my name is Janet and I feel joyful. I could be joyous or jovial or jolly, just as long as the word has the same sound as the beginning sound of my name. The person to my right will then say my name and how I feel and his name and how he feels. He says, this is Janet and she feels joyful, and I'm Richard and I feel ready. The next person says my name and how I feel, Richard's name and how he feels, and her name and how she feels. Perhaps her name is Sandra and she feels splendid. So Sandra would say, this is Janet, she feels joyful, Richard feels ready, and I'm Sandra and I feel splendid. And so on until the end of the circle. I usually do all the names last. Sometimes students will shorten it to say, joyful Janet, ready Richard, splendid Susan. The alliteration helps us to remember the names, and it's a fun way to get to know people. I love to put my classes in circles. It encourages communication. Here is another circular memory game that is especially fun in ESL classes. It's the I went upstairs and made myself a sandwich of exercise. In lower ESL levels, you can simply say, I made a sandwich of. Perhaps the first person in the circle says, I went upstairs and made myself a sandwich of ham and cheese. Then the next person says, I went upstairs and made myself a sandwich of ham and cheese and tomatoes. The next person adds on a food. The third person says, I went upstairs and made myself a sandwich of ham and cheese, tomatoes, and chicken. The fourth person says, I went upstairs and made myself a sandwich of ham and cheese, tomatoes, chicken, and avocados, and so on around the circle. Each person adds on a food to the list. In the original game, if you miss a food, you're out of the game. But in the classroom, I explain that it's not a cutthroat game, and we help out those who forget. You can go around the circle several times, and the sandwich keeps getting bigger and bigger, and your memories keep getting sharper. For the next game, you need to break the group into 2 teams with one volunteer from each team sitting in the front of the class facing their teammates, but with their backs to the whiteboard. Remember, the 2 volunteers sit with their backs to the board. You put a word on the board, which the 2 teams can see, but the 2 volunteers can't see. The teams then give verbal and nonverbal clues to their volunteers. The first person to guess the word gets a point for their team. I use several words before we change volunteers. The team with the most points wins. I usually start with simple words like pizza or apple or flag, and then go on to vocabulary or spelling words that they have just learned that week. This game gets very competitive, and it is quite addicting. Your students will probably ask to play this often. It builds team interaction, and of course, it builds vocabulary. When I was in graduate school, a fellow student named Susan showed me how to play this game, and I have used it ever since. It's a fun icebreaker, and it's called Human Bingo. First, I asked the class to think of something interesting that they have done that no one in the room knows about and that they wouldn't mind sharing with others. I ask them not to tell anyone and to put it on a small sheet of paper without their name. They need to write it legibly. If they're having a hard time thinking of something, I tell them that it can be anything at all as long as no one knows what it is. It could be what they ate for dinner last night. It could be the name of their first boyfriend. Oh, it could be the color of their favorite dress. Or it could be that they love to eat chocolate chip cookies at 2 a.m. when no one's watching. Then I collect all of these papers and ask them to take out a clean sheet of paper. If there are 16 people in the class, I fold the paper to make 16 boxes, like this. You have to make a free space if you have only 15 people, 2 free spaces if you only have 14. You can play this game with 12, 16, 18, 24 people using different folded papers and filling in with free spaces if you have less students than boxes. I like to play this game too. After they fold the paper, it becomes their bingo card. Then you read each of their interesting incidents out loud, and the students write in each box the interesting things that each person wrote. In ESL classes, I actually make a bingo card with boxes on the board and write the incidents in question form myself so everyone can follow me. You should warn students not to tell anyone which is their interesting incident. When you finish filling out your bingo card, then it's time to have everyone get up and ask one question to one person at a time. A student would ask, "Was Bill the name of your first boyfriend?" If the person asked says no, it's time to ask someone else until they find the right person. If the person asked says yes, Bill was the name of my first boyfriend, then she signs the bingo card in the appropriate box. The first one to have the card all signed yells bingo and gets a prize. I usually bring in 3 small prizes for the top 3 winners. Don't let the students get up and ask the whole class a question like, "Who eats cookies at 2 a.m.?" They have to do it one at a time, one-on-one. Afterwards, I read each experience and have them explain the details. You can learn an awful lot about different personalities like this, plus students get to know each other better. Another form of bingo is that you make up the card customized to your class. For instance, here's a bingo card that I made. I knew that there was someone in class who hated ice cream, someone who had 6 brothers, someone who loved fried chicken, and someone who goes salsa dancing every weekend, and that's why I included them on this paper. You can make them as specific or as generic as you want. This exercise truly gets people out of their chairs and talking. They enjoy getting to know each other, and it brings them closer as a class. Plus, for second language students, it's a fun way to practice speaking English. You can make bingos on any subject. I have included many bingos, even an employment bingo, in the Learn Oral Communication Quickly book under Appendix A. It's in the back. Now, they're easy to make up once you get the hang of it. I have also included bingos that are in a straight line. They're called Find Someone Who. Rather than sign in the box, you sign on the line. I have also included some tallies. It's fun to take surveys and find out what the class as a whole likes or doesn't like. Again, you can customize it for your class. For instance, on this tally I put for question 3, what do you like to do for exercise? They have to ask each person in the class and tally their amounts. As you can see in this example, under walk, you see 4 marks. Under swim is 1 mark, under run is 2 marks, under play basketball is 3 marks, and under other is 5 marks. I like to put several questions on a tally, and afterwards we talk about what we like and what we don't like, and draw conclusions about our class as a whole. It can teach acceptance of other people's tastes, and again, students really begin to communicate with each other. Many teachers like to play something called the lying game. It's simple to do. I put an example like this on the board and ask the students which item is not true about me. Your teacher, A, likes to swim, B, likes to dance, C, loves to talk, D, likes to eat Italian food, or E, is married to a famous movie star. I ask them to tell me which one is not true, and they usually get the answer very easily. It's E, I'm not married to a famous movie star. Then I ask them to make one up for themselves and make it more difficult than mine. They need to have 4 true answers and 1 false. I finish this exercise in one of 2 ways. If it's a large class, I will put them in groups of 3s or 4s and have them read to each other and try to guess which is the lie. If it's a smaller class, I ask for a volunteer to write his or her example on the board and read it to the whole class for a vote. I tell them not to be as obvious as my example. The one who stumps the whole class gets a prize. This can be a fun exercise in persuasive speaking, and again, we get to know everyone better by the end of the lesson. I do like to teach how to write a letter by first brainstorming with the class about who their favorite movie star or musician is. I then teach the mechanics of letter writing and put them in small groups to write a letter, inviting one of these famous people to our school. Someone needs to volunteer to go to the library to get addresses. We actually send out several letters to several stars, hoping for a positive response. Actually, just getting a response at all is fun, plus they've learned the basics of letter writing. Here's my globe. I love to travel. Do you? Where would you like to go? Why? For how long? With whom? What would you do? I throw the globe to someone and tell them to be interesting. They look on the globe, they point out a place, and they answer all of my questions. Then I tell them to throw the globe to someone else, and they do the same. I list the places on the board, and at the end of the lesson, I actually say to them, make believe the superintendent just gave us $50,000 for traveling expenses, and we need to pick one place to go. Where should we go? We vote, and we sometimes need to vote again because of a tie. When we pick the place, I ask them to look up everything they can about it for the following day. The next day, we map out our trip and figure out how much money we really need to do all the things we want to do. They put the trip together as a group, and they learn about negotiating, compromising, and traveling while using their skills in mathematics. Often, I like to ask my classes, how are you richer today? By rich, I don't just mean money-wise. You can be rich in love, rich in food, rich in time, rich in clothes, rich in family, rich in joy. I believe that no matter what you are going through, you need to be grateful for what you have. That positive attitude is a magnet for all kinds of good rewards. I like to tell them to expect surprises and see what happens. I love when they report back to me all the good in their lives. It helps to keep us focused on the glass half full rather than the glass half empty. According to a teacher friend of mine, Mary Murphy, Valentine's candy can form sentences, can make a Valentine letter, and can be fun to eat. Here's an example. Students paste the candy on the paper and write words to complete the message. This one says, "Hello, my cutie. You are my soulmate. I am mad for you. Remember to be true to me. My girl is too cool. You are awesome. Don't tell anyone how I feel. Page me, fax me, email me. Love you." There's even kisses and hugs. If you want to get, a little hokey around Valentine's Day, here's a writing exercise that some students enjoy. Oh Scrud is a card game that helps students form words. It develops vocabulary and spelling skills while having fun. You can make it very competitive or a group effort. What you do is you deal out 7 cards to each player, and you make words with the letters. There's a discard pile and a pick-up pile. The first one to make 2 3-letter words and 1 4-letter word wins. The creators encourage you to use your imagination and make up your own rules. I have seen Glenn Martin, the man who invented this game, in action at conferences. His table is always full of players, including me. I've listed his name, address, and phone number in Appendix A in the Learn Oral Communication Quickly workbook. Now, speaking of words, when teaching grammar, I usually get my class to sing their prepositions. If you sing them, you will learn them. If you like to get your students singing, do watch my Parts of Speech video, which is in the Learn Grammar Quickly series. That's where I sing my prepositions. If you're looking for a mathematics song, there's one in Video 10, Measurement, Circles and Volume, which is in the Learn Math Quickly series. I especially like my students to use their voices properly. I teach them about diaphragmatic breathing and the importance of their vocal cords. We do lots of supportive tone exercises. Plus, we do vocal exercises, including the ones in my oral communication book on pages 24 through 29. Everyone enjoys improving their vocal skills, and this works well when we make our own dialogues. We brainstorm a scenario, figure out who the characters are, their ages, what they look like, what kinds of persons they are. Then we set the scene and make a script. When the script is finished, you can rehearse and film it. There is an example of a class script in the book. Do look at it. While students developed it, everyone was engaged. Everyone wanted to participate and be involved. It was great to watch the end result. It's fun to cast, rehearse, and videotape it. Then you can watch your own classroom movie. I learned some of the following exercises while teaching at Montclair State University. At the beginning of the semester, I asked my students to bring in 3 things that represent them, that they are willing to present to the rest of the class. I asked them to put them in a bag and not show anyone before class. I also ask that they not bring in pictures unless they are big enough for everyone to see. I don't want them passing around pictures in the middle of a presentation. I ask them to tell me why I don't want them to pass around pictures. The response, of course, is when you pass around pictures, then everyone looks at the pictures and they don't listen to you. Then I ask for a volunteer to get up and show us what she brought and explain why it represents her. Students are asked to stay still while presenting and to give us eye contact. After each presentation, the class must ask 3 questions of each person. Then we hear from the next volunteer. This is another opportunity for us to get to know each other and to practice presentational skills. Speaking of presentational skills, after teaching how to outline, I put students in groups of 3 and give them a simple topic. I ask them to work as a group, putting together a presentation. One person is the introduction, one person is the body, and one person is the conclusion. They work together to make an organized presentation, including all the elements of a good introduction, a good body, and a good conclusion. Then, they do it in front of the class, and we critique. Did they include all the aspects? How was the performance? If we are doing demonstration speaking, I especially look to see that the demo was step by step and easy to understand. If it is persuasive speaking, did they incorporate ethos, pathos, and logos? They truly learn how to outline easily and quickly while working as a team and having fun. You can do this exercise for an essay as well as a speech. The Oral Communication Workbook has examples of speech outlines. Now, to emphasize Aristotle's concepts of ethos, credibility, logos, logic, and pathos, emotional appeal, which are so important when teaching persuasive speaking, I have students bring in advertisements from magazines showing one or more of these concepts. After they explain their impressions, I put them in small groups to come up with an advertisement about any product they choose. They can even make up a product. I encourage them to use a slogan or a jingle and to be extremely creative. In the advertisement, they must use ethos, pathos, and logos. Sometimes I videotape them and we vote on the ones that were the most creative. I think even Aristotle would like this exercise. Impromptu speaking can be fun, especially when using everyday topics like favorite fruits, restaurants, movie stars, singers, musicians, colors, books, cars, countries, foods, songs, languages, or movies. They can be informative, persuasive, or simply entertaining. I ask the class who their favorite movie star is, and each person puts a name on the board. Then I ask for a volunteer to come up to the front of the room and describe his or her favorite movie star. Tell us something special about him or her, and why we should go to see one of the star's movies. They are to use hand gestures if comfortable, and they need to give us eye contact and some vocal variety. When one student finishes, he picks someone else to describe a favorite movie star until everyone in the class has spoken. Any topic will work. The idea is to be as interesting as you can be. I sometimes ask for their favorite drinks and tell them to make us very thirsty when describing them. Afterwards, we vote on which drink sounded the best. I also ask them to put on the board the food they hate the most. But when they get up to speak about it, they need to be completely unbiased, which will make them truly informative. To emphasize listening, I start class by reading a paragraph. Then I ask several questions about it. Many times, if learners aren't told to listen, they will just tune out. When they can only answer 1 out of 8 questions about this paragraph, it again brings home the idea that listening is important. There is an example of this exercise in the Oral Communication Workbook. When teaching job interviewing, I like to put them in twos and tell them to role play the worst interview that they can think of. Then they do them in front of the class. You can videotape these and play them back. They are usually very funny, and it's an amusing way to teach what works and what doesn't work in an interview situation. After asking my class to pick a theme like love or peace or conflict, I then ask everyone to bring in something about that theme. It could be a poem, a song, or a video clip. Then I ask them to put it all together with introductions and transitions. I ask them to be creative with their performance. I have someone videotape it. When it's finished, we watch and give comments. It's another classroom movie. If you are looking for more fun exercises, do watch the first 4 videos in this series called Learn Oral Communication Quickly. The first video is Communication Basics plus How to Get Over the Fear of Public Speaking, and it includes storytelling. How to Demonstrate, Introduce, and Make a Toast is the second video. How to Persuade, Answer Questions, and Accept an Award is the third. The Art of Oral Interpretation, or How to Read Aloud, is the fourth video. Do examine the exercises in the Learn Oral Communication Quickly workbook, and to use them in your classes. And most importantly, have fun.